Are you ready? Deliveries.
But it's good to kind of talk about it all at once. It did feel like I got something off my chest, and I reckon it felt like you got something off your chest as well.
Yeah.
Do you want the ability not only to talk about your issues, but to laugh about them as well? Well, come and join us on Stuck in the Middle, where we talk about men's mental health and all things mental. Let's break the stigma with some great stories, some good tips that you can take away from the show each week. But most importantly, let's have some fun.
Don't forget the guests.
Oh yeah, the guests. And there are guests going to be on the show that are going to be talking about their experiences and how they deal with their daily mental health struggles. This is Stuck in the Middle. I'm Geordie Paul and I'm all in.
I'm Andy Man and I'm all in.
Are you all in? Alright everyone,
Hey up me ducks.
welcome to Stuck in the Middle. This week's episode is Blended Families, requested to us by one of our subscribers, Graham. Thank you very much for that, Graham. Really appreciated. It's fantastic that we're getting the interaction on the show and getting comments and likes and things like that. So for everybody, thank you. But thank you, Graham, for giving us the idea for Blended Families. Speaking of interaction, we have our first guest, Liam. He is currently training in the RAF to become an aircraft technician. Really cool. He doesn't have a rank yet because he is just training, but you're ranked highly on this show. Liam's part of a blended family and will be chatting to us today about the challenges and the joys of being part of a blended family, also the mental health struggles that sort of come with that. He'll also be talking briefly about some of the mental health struggles in the RAF, particularly about training and the anxieties that come with that. He's got some really good insights into how the RAF are dealing with sort of your mental health, how they're encouraging it, and it's going to be really nice to hear his perspective being in there. Liam's only 19 years old, so it'll be also another. It's sort of like the generation down from us, isn't it? So it would be nice to find out how that mental health ladder, if you want to call it that, is going to end up going. So look forward to that.
So later in the show, we will cover the task from the previous episode, which was Man Up, where we asked you to find somebody that you trust and sit and have a chat with them, 15, 30-minute chat, open up to them, try and talk about that one thing and try and get them to open up so that you become the other person. One ting.
One ting. Was that what it says? Where?
Open up about one thing. Open up about one thing.
Open up about the one thing, brother.
Don't worry, we have got a takeaway for you to take away this week as well. We've got some other guests who've kindly sent in some videos answering the 4 key questions that we put out on social media during this week. Some good questions there as well. There were some
brilliant
good questions.
Brilliant questions.
Much better answers. So videos, we're going to get some fantastic advice off these people, and they are going to give their advice to you of how they deal with their blended families and things around that. One more thing, wait till the very end because we are going to reveal exactly who this guy is. So keep your eyes and ears open for that.
See if you can figure it out.
See if you can figure it out. Put it in the comments if you figured it out beforehand.
I'm sure you probably already have some.
Maybe.
Too many intellectuals in the world.
Well.
On that note, Liam, first of all, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm pretty good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for asking, mate. Andy. All right, mate. How are you doing?
Hey up, me duck. No, I'm good, mate. I'm good. Thank you. Mental health is a big topic these days, which we're all very much aware of. So how do you see it being handled within the RAF trainees? What kind of support's available for them during your training?
Honestly, it's one of the best things I've ever seen. You get offered whatever support you need. If you're religious, you have the chaplaincy. You have the padre there who can talk to you. You have all kind of religious like people there that can talk to you. If you're not religious, you can still go talk to the padres, and he can basically sort out whatever you need. There's also the TDCs, which I'm still unsure of what that actually means.
I was just about to say, for the viewers that don't know, what's a padre?
But it's father, means father.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's
I like that.
Yeah, so do you know how you've got your what they called at churches, the people with
like
the
your
collars.
vicars,
Yeah, exactly.
priest.
Father.
Yeah, your priest.
Father, yeah.
So it's like a priest, but it's like it's a more like universal kind of thing.
And
Sounds
you know,
like something from Godfather. Going to see the Padre.
Going to
Going to see the Padre.
The Padre
God
says,
for it, God
"You come
for
to
that.
see me today, the day of my daughter's wedding."
Yeah, the Padre is a fantastic resource. Obviously offered to everyone within the Air Force, whether you're religious, not religious. But obviously there's the TDCs. Everyone that's within the chain of command is typically trained to be able to talk to you about your issues and kind of give you a resolution of how to fix it. You get offered like therapy if you need it. That gets offered to you, paid for, and everything like that. They give you the time off for it. You get apps and stuff on your phone they pay for. For example,
Headspace.
Headspace is the one.
We mentioned that in
mentioned
the
that,
last episode, didn't we?
Yeah, you get given Headspace. Also the medical centre. If you want to go to the med centre and talk to them. So if it's more concerning, obviously the med centre can reach out if they think you're gonna commit suicide or whatever. They can reach out to the TDCs or the Padre and get them to talk to you as that becomes more of a serious matter. But other than that, it's what you tell them that stays with them. So everything.
So it's all confidential.
Everything's confidential. Yeah. So even if it does get told to someone else, that other person will keep it confidential. They'll just get you
very
the help.
confidential to me then.
Well, they'll get you the help you need, but they'll keep all of that information that you tell them confidential, so no one else will find out. But they only give that information out to people if they are concerned for you.
So you're saying that they're quite open with all of that. My question here is, because I don't know if I'm just being kind of negative or anything here, but how do you feel going to them? And the only way that I can kind of get it, because I wasn't part of the services or anything like that, is I would feel uncomfortable going to my line manager and saying that I had a problem, for example. Is it encouraged in the RAF if you have a problem to open up though? Or is the stigma still in there? Or is it, yeah.
It's massively encouraged. Honestly, you get told from day one, you get told there's people here for you. You get told that it's fully confidential. You get told that these people are trained. So it's just like going to like a therapist and talking to a therapist, because I know it's a bit difficult to open up at first, as it would be with everyone. Like even if I was to speak to you guys about something, it'd be quite hard for me to open up straight away. But as soon as you ease into it, because when you're there talking to them like one-to-one, obviously outside of the one-to-one, it's strict, it's military. But as soon as you get to them one-to-one, it's more of a, like, I'm your friend. You can talk to me. I'll keep it between me and you, and we'll get you the help you need.
Brilliant.
You get the RAF on the show.
Yeah. Yeah.
That sounds absolutely, I don't know if I'm sure everyone will agree with that, but because you see so much on TV about ex-service guys like struggling with their mental health, and it always makes you think, were they getting no support? And I wonder if past, maybe that was the case.
In the past, it has been quite. Yeah, obviously, this is why they're trying to fix it now. So, in the past, though, obviously, people have suffered quite a lot. Obviously, with Afghanistan, Iraq, and all that. And obviously, back then, it was kind of more like, oh, well, you're a man, like the stigma.
Man up.
But it's more recent, I'd say, within the last 10 years or so. It's become more and more like they've become more and more supportive with your mental health, because they want you to be the best you.
Yes.
And they want you to have a clear headspace, especially if you work in such a safety critical job.
Front line or something
exactly,
like that. Yeah.
If it's safety critical.
Yeah. So professional.
I also want to mention, if it's all right, so the RAF offer mental health support, financial support, everything you can think of support wise, to not only you but to your friends and family. So even if it was someone non-service related at all,
really,
they reach out and offer that to you. So if one of my friends was struggling, I could say to them, listen, I can try and get you some help, and I'll go and talk to someone, for example the TDCs or the Padre, and they'll give me a number to give to him and provide everything they need.
That's got to be geared around the whole, if you feel good by helping other people, then we need you.
Yeah.
You're our asset.
Yeah.
And if helping your close friends and family improves your mental health, then of course, that's brilliant. I'm actually surprised. Very good.
To the RAF.
To the RAF, yeah. Not you. It's actually just made me really excited about getting guests on, because I've just realised the stuff you can learn from other people in their expertise.
Yeah.
And you're only 19 years old. To say things like that means that they're doing their job properly.
Yeah.
And I
Exactly.
like that for a young man. Do you know what I mean? Because then maybe when he's 40, that these issues that we've grown up with,
They won't be there.
I'm not saying that, I don't know if they'll not be there, they'll manifest into something else, but they'll be easier to manage. You'll have coping mechanisms that you'll have been taught from day one.
Hopefully from the beginning, the issues won't become, the little issues won't become big issues.
This is it.
Because you'll know at the beginning, hang on a second, this is not right. So, and do something about it. Whereas the likes of our generation and generations before us,
Man up.
just man up, get on with it, deal with it.
What do I do if I need to like scratch my nose or
Scratch your
something?
nose, mate.
Just no.
Yeah, it's a human thing. It's fine. If you sat there doing a Donald Duck or something. What? Oh, wow.
What?
Okay, this is the Disney version. That sounds weird in your headset. Like it was behind me. Where's Donald Duck?
You ought to hear my Donald Duck sneeze.
Oh, yeah, she doesn't.
Go.
I'm laughing now.
That is uncanny. So yeah, there sounds like there's quite a bit in terms of what's available to you with the mental health stuff. What about your anxiety then? Because I'm guessing that the training in the services for RAF, Army, Navy is all quite intense. How do you deal with any of the anxieties that you get? I'm assuming being sort of 19 and in the services, it's quite nerve-wracking sometimes, having your padres looking at you, and how do you deal with that with your other sort of lads, like with your other trainees?
Right, so the other trainees obviously make a major difference when it comes to anxiety, because they don't just become your colleagues, they become your mates. Obviously being in a room, so right now I'm in a room with two other lads, and when I first joined them, I had no idea who they were, what they were like. But now we're literally best mates. And obviously when it comes to anxiety, because training can get pretty intense sometimes, and you kind of want to go back at the end of the day and you still kind of stressing, like, what if I messed this up earlier on? What if I've done this? What if I've done that? But then you have the kind of people around you that you can talk to about it, and like they go through the exact same thing. And it's good to kind of unwind, talk to them about it, to relieve that anxiety a bit, because you can talk about and discuss and solve whatever has happened throughout the day. So they're always a good kind of rebound at the end of your day to relieve that anxiety.
What when we talk about anxiety, so when I went into a certain job, for example, when I first went into it, and you feel like a fifth wheel type of thing, you have in the building trade, Andy.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same. You don't know until you do it. You have to, and I guess that being a aircraft technician type of thing must be, you have to learn on the job. There's a lot to learn with that, right? Yeah. But because it's strict and all the rest of it there, how do you deal with watching your peers watching you? Is that like, I'm probably more talking about myself here, but it's a question that I probably personally have, because I've struggled with that,
Is there like the whole white coat syndrome? Is there
Yeah.
I am being watched by somebody who wants me to do well, but if I don't do well, they're also then going to kick my backside about it as well.
Yeah.
So have you got that? We'll go with the fear word. We'll go with, have you got the fear that things are going to go wrong? Does the fear bring the anxiety?
The fear, yeah, I would definitely, I'd say that, to be fair. So you do always have people watching you. Obviously, you don't tend to do tasks alone. Like, that's throughout the entire Air Force. Like, you always have someone with you to watch you do that task, make sure you're doing it right. But the thing is, it's a mix between fear of getting it wrong, because obviously where I am right now, you're constantly being assessed. So you're being watched constantly by instructors and everything like that. And if you mess up, you feel like the whole world's going to crumble. But there's also it's like within the Air Force, if something does go wrong, you always have that person to help you. They tell you you've done wrong and they help you overcome that. So they tell you what you've done wrong instead of just saying to you, "Oh, your baggage, like your crap, whatever." They're like, "Okay, this is what you've done wrong. Here's how you can rectify it." So obviously, there's always the anxiety of what if I get it wrong and then something goes badly wrong. But there's also the like, if I get something wrong, they're always here to tell me what I've done wrong and how to rectify it.
It's almost a comfort blanket of knowing that, like for myself and you, Paul, like growing up throughout building trades and things, if you mess up, it's on you. It's all on you, and you'll get a name for yourself.
I can almost bring that to now. There's a reason that there's two of us doing this show.
Yep.
Because the idea for me to do that on my own was just too daunting, and having your partner, tag team, if you like, sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? And it helps because you back each other up, and you kind of assume that happens in the services. To be fair, it's just I was just curious with you being young, and I know how I used to feel in the building trade and stuff like that, and I was wondering if it was different in the RAF, and I'm guessing it's not particularly different. It's great to see that you're encouraged to be open if it's not.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I feel a bit silly, or I feel a bit daft. I don't understand that, sir. I don't understand that. Do you know what I mean? And he's like, and they hopefully then approach and go, no problem. They encourage you to ask questions, which is really, really good. That's brilliant. Really pleased.
Well, I mean, there's always that thing of there's no stupid questions in there, and that's what they constantly tell us. They always say, there's never any stupid questions. If you need to ask something, obviously other people can laugh at you. They're like, oh, what a silly question. But if you genuinely don't know, then they'll just straight up tell you. They'll help you out.
I'll tell you my observation straight away with them is you can see how for a young lad, you're quite articulate, and you speak really well. Like I didn't want to be stereotypical or anything, you're typical 19-year-old lad. I assumed with you being in the RAF and stuff like that. But it's brilliant to see someone come across confident and talking, but that is because you're being encouraged to talk about good things, bad things, your feelings, and you're just naturally able to get that out there. So if someone was to say to you, what's up? You're like, well, this, and this is why. Like, if you were reading a book, there'd be the paragraph, not a, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what to say.
It is great to see.
It is good. No, really, really impressed with that, Liam, to be fair. That's really, really good. So, before we ask Liam what it's like living in a blended family, which is about the show, it was really good to get that insight into the RAF. So thank you very much for that. I hear you all saying, Paul, what exactly do you mean by a blended family? Now, when you said this the other week, Andy, right, I was like, blended family.
You had some weird visions in your mind. You really did.
I had like loads of people in a blender. And I thought
we had a discussion, Paul, about should we make a video of blending people and putting that out there as the thumbnail. I was like, no, Paul, let's not do that.
Going to do a little video that came on the screen, and we were going to chuck people into a blender. Didn't think that was going to go.
That's taking blended family a little too literally.
So, yes, sorry, you're asking. Of course they're asking. You're asking. Everyone's asking. I was asking. What exactly do you mean by a blended family? Now, I'm going to read this off, so apologies if I get this slightly wrong, but I wanted to make sure that I got the caption bit right. So, a blended family, also known as a step family, is a family unit where one or both parents have children from previous relationships, and they come together to form a new family. This may include step-parents, step-children, and sometimes half-siblings, where children share one biological parent. Blended families often navigate unique dynamics as they blend different family cultures, traditions, and relationships. And now, I love this quote. Blended families are like smoothies. Smoothies.
You'd get that in your blender, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
you'd get that in your blender.
Get that in the blender. So, sorry. Blended families are like smoothies. Sometimes smooth, sometimes chunky, but always interesting.
Chunky.
I do like that quote. What do you think of that quote, Andy?
I like that quote. I do like that quote. It puts it all there in black and white, doesn't it? Smoothie.
Can't say this. In case anyone's noticed, I've got teeth. And I can't speak. So I wrote this not knowing that I was going to have a denture in. So yes, smoothies.
You've literally filled the gap, haven't you, Paul?
Seamless.
Oh, it's gone.
What's happened to me?
I don't know. My
It
right
says-
ear seems to be smaller than my left ear.
Is that something that happens in the RF as well?
Well, what happens in the RAF stays in the RAF.
Liam, what is your position in your blended family, and what do you think helps them work well?
So I'm a stepson in the blended
Okay.
family. Obviously, two sides. My mother's side and my father's side. My mother's side, I don't really get along with them. I get along with them. I don't really hang out with them very much. I'm not really around there very often, just because it's more convenient for me to stay with my dad's side. What do I think makes them work well? So for me, the key thing is communication. Obviously, when you first getting into that blended family, it's a bit awkward for you. You're a bit like, I don't know who this person is, but you need to, obviously they're part of your family now because you've taken them in as part of your family. So talking to them and being open with them and just having conversations like they're your mate, it helps massively. So obviously when I first got to my dad's house, there was new people there, obviously waiting for me, and as well as my other siblings as well. And at first I was like, I'm not really too sure who you are. Like, I don't know what intentions you've got, whatever. I have no idea who you are. But when I first started conversation, I realised I was like, this isn't too bad. It's going to be a bit of an awkward phase to get through.
You actually thought that at the time. How old were you when that started?
18.
Okay. Oh, so not long ago then, right?
No.
Okay.
So obviously I'm still an adult, but I've still got that thought in the back of my mind, like, I don't know who you are. But it was a bit of a step initially, because obviously going from living with both parents for 18 years.
Right. So mum and dad were together,
Yeah.
split up. Mum's met someone, dad's met someone, and then you've gone to your dad's, were you saying?
Yes,
Right. Okay.
yes.
Cool.
So
right.
I went to my dad's. So initially, when I went to my dad's house, obviously I thought it was a bit awkward at first because obviously living with both parents for 18 years, and then all of a sudden that kind of stops, and then I go to someone else. Like, I'm kind of entrusting them as a parent, if that makes sense.
How many siblings are there?
Oh God, it's too many to count. I think I've got 5 siblings.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can kind of get lost a little bit.
Yes, yeah,
So
massively.
you're used to getting the attention from both parents,
Yes.
and then all of a sudden only one because you don't know the other one.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Okay. How was that? How did you navigate that? Did it help being in the RAF?
So it was a bit tougher, I'd say, being in the RAF, because
Really?
obviously I'm only home on the weekends, unless I've got leave where I come home for a week or 2 weeks, whatever. But I found it a bit tough because obviously trying to gain that bond with the person who I'm entrusting, being my other parent, trying to bond with them over such a limited amount of time. But then it's like, it felt like for the first few weeks, it felt like we were bonding, and then went back to the RAF, came back, and it just restarted.
Oh, I get you. So because you're working away, everybody else is
Yeah.
continuously getting that time to learn a new family,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
your family like yours keeps breaking.
Yeah, it keeps breaking, and then
something
coming
might
back.
have happened that week that you weren't involved in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I get you.
So I felt like my siblings obviously had a lot of time. So I was obviously I was helping my siblings as well at some points if they found it tough. And obviously not being here as often, I found that it felt like a lot being put on me at the time. But my stepmom is absolutely fantastic. She's easy to get along with, but obviously again, it's the first few weeks it was a bit tough. But as soon as I got into it, it was all right.
So
Great.
the thing there then, Andy, is obviously if it's about the step parent then.
Yeah, so that's kind of the question I was about to ask you. You say it was a bit tough at the beginning. What did you do to make that better for yourself and those around you? What did you put in there to make it not so tough for you?
I just tried to express myself a bit. I tried to engage more in conversation because I used to be quite a socially anxious person. I used to kind of keep myself to myself, not really talk to many people. But I felt like in the back of my head, I was like, I know I'm going to spend a lot of time with this person, and I know that they're kind of my other parent for life now. So it's better to engage now rather than leaving it awkward, because I know there's a stereotype. Obviously, the step parents are horrible and all this and that.
The evil stepmother.
Exactly, the
Yep.
evil stepmother. But I was like, I don't really want that, because if I'm going to be spending a lot of time with you, especially because I was going to be living with my dad, it's going to be a bit awkward for me. Especially if if tensions are quite high a lot of the time. So I just thought, reach myself out, try and engage in conversations. Obviously, over the few weeks, it was getting better and better, and eventually, obviously, it clicked on. And
So you talk about tensions being quite high. As far as the tensions with the breakup with your parents, how did you deal with the tensions of that? Was there tensions around that you felt are out of your control, or you mentioned something about kind of being there for your other siblings and things like that, but obviously you need to make sure that you look after yourself as well, which we advocate all the time. How did you deal with any kind of tension that was around there?
so obviously there was initially a lot of tension when it happened, and I kind of just tried to. I think initially, my mind kind of just tried to block it out, and then obviously my siblings were a bit like distraught about it. They didn't really like the fact that obviously one of my parents were no longer going to be living in the same house. So I tried to talk to them, and I felt like talking to them, even them being younger, or I've got an older sibling as well. So even talking to them, it did help me. So it brought the tensions down quite a bit. But it was still, again, yeah, it was tense at the start. But I feel like being able to engage with my siblings who are going through the same thing as me definitely helped, even if they were younger. I mean, I've got a little sister who's 10, and even talking to her about it, what she was feeling, and then I could compare my own feelings to that.
It's kind of seeing their side of things as well, and
Yeah.
seeing putting your opinion into her feelings and her emotions. So she's looking up to you as the big brother that you are, but you're also gaining it from her experiences being the 10-year-old sister. So I can see where where you're coming from with it all and how that would work.
The thing that I'm probably getting from listening to that there, I'm thinking about you guys actually. What kind of advice would you need if you were younger, listening to or watching this? I guess your advice there is, and again, what I was listening is you were openly or mindfully thinking, I need to engage.
Yeah.
You weren't just falling back into the shadows. You've actually consciously thought and made the effort.
Yeah.
I think, and I guess you even said yourself, maybe a bit socially anxious.
Yeah.
So when the advice there, from your perspective as a stepson, is, you know what, I'm going to make the effort, and I don't know if I'm going to like this person. I don't know if they're going to like me, but if I've done my bit, I can walk away happy. And, we don't know how things are going to go, and everybody has completely different family dynamics. And I get the turmoil that some are in and all the rest of it. So I feel like you've been lucky, but you've put yourself forward to really make an effort. And you kind of had to, because you've been in the RAF and you've had to come back. I suppose my next question for you, Andy, is you mentioned the other week when we were talking about this that you're in a blended family as well. So you're the stepdad.
I am the stepdad.
So that's a different dynamic again then, right?
It's true. Yeah. So obviously my background come from a long-term relationship where I had 6 children, and relationship didn't work. I think the relationship was mainly held together because of the children. I think that's it became a habit more than anything else. And then I met my current partner, my fiance, and we've been living together for 18 months now.
Okay.
She's got a son. He's 13, same age as one of my sons. So for me, stepping into that, I didn't really go into it blindsided because I was already his Beavers leader at the point. So I already knew him from...
Sorry, his what?
Beaver leader. So Beavers, Cubs and Scouts. I was the local leader for the Beavers. So I knew him from age 7 onwards anyway. So for me, it wasn't so much a daunting fact of this is a completely new stepson, but I was then seeing it from the other person's perspective. So my parenting styles and Tasha's parenting styles were completely different.
Okay.
I wouldn't say I was strict. I'm not a strict parent, but I've always been, I want my kids to do the right thing. Everybody wants that.
Yeah, of course.
Everybody wants that. Whereas Tash was a little bit more lenient because she'd lived on her own for a long period of time with Marley. They built up more of a friendship than a parent-child bond.
Yeah.
So I think the difficult side of things around our relationship was probably Tasha's side of things.
Okay.
Because, and Marley's side of things as well, her son, because he now sees there's somebody else in mum's life, and I've now got to share mum. So I've had to rein it in the sense of I've got to give him that space, give him that respect to know that I am moving into this lifestyle. I'm moving into their lifestyle. But I wouldn't really say there's been challenges. I don't, in the sense of anything that you would call a challenge, like, okay, this could be difficult. Me and Tash have got that bond where if something would slightly come up, we'd talk about it and we'd deal with it. It's not, Marley's not had an issue. Marley doesn't have an issue. I get on with him so well. I treat him like one of my own kids. None of the children get left out. And we've built up a really good relationship.
It's the effort. So, you're saying that you're making your effort coming home from a week with the RAF and really trying hard to get involved. Now, I'm always conscious about you guys sitting watching, right, and thinking, that's, in my dynamic, it's impossible because the tension between the parents is so big and to the point where it's never going to be fixed.
Yep.
How do you deal with that as a step parent? Oh, it's hard to ask you because you've been lucky enough not to deal with that.
I do feel that effort, communication, from my side of things, is definitely the key. Definitely the key. You can't, if people don't talk to each other and try and move forward.
Talk.
I am talk, 100% talk. I say I'm very much aware that there are relationships and family dynamics out there that they just don't get on. Like parents don't like stepchildren don't like step parents, exes. Like, I'm quite fortunate that I've still got quite a good relationship with my ex, my children's mum. Tasha's still got the same good relationship with Chris, so it does work. So being in the blended family that I'm in, it works for us. It works. A lot of people could look at it from the outside and go, still not quite right.
See, that's another thing though. You're still looking at it from the outside. So my question sort of with you, Liam, is there, you see both sides. So everyone's being dead civil and being nice to each other and, doing the things, that they're supposed to do. But you will, I know you're saying that you don't particularly go around, but at first you would have, I would imagine. And then you get to hear, so-and-so saying this about him and so-and-so saying this about her. And how is that being sort of, pardon the pun, but stuck in the middle?
Yeah.
Well, it's a bit of a tricky one, to be fair.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously hearing other people saying other things about other people, it's I feel like it's kind of just a part of life. People do it all the time. Like, everyone talks about everyone. It doesn't matter who they are. Yeah, just accept it for what it is. I mean, it's always going to happen. One side's going to talk about the other side, but you also know that other side is also talking about the other side. So it's just
you
a part
become
of life,
sort of numb to it and then think,
Yeah.
you know what, that's not my issue.
Exactly. I mean, even sometimes I'd agree. Like, if it was something I agree with, I'd be like, yeah, you're right.
Well, that's it. That's about being honest as well, isn't
Exactly,
it?
yeah.
And expressing your opinion and not being afraid to say what you feel.
Exactly, yeah.
Perfect.
I did have one thing for you.
Okay.
So, being a parent in a blended family, how did you initially feel bringing your own kids into someone else's home, making them a
Great
part of
question.
someone else's family?
That is a great question. I think it was nervous at first. How will my children react to Tash? How will Tash react to the children? I think, again, for me, it was that you're not going to know till you take the step. And it happened quite quickly as well. It was one of them right at the beginning. It was, I don't want to keep anything from my kids. I didn't think that was fair. I wouldn't want that to happen to me. So there was no way in any circumstances was, come and meet your new stepmom.
Yeah.
You don't know where things are going to go in life, do you? Fortunately, it has gone really well. But introducing the children initially was one of them. Because I've got so many kids,
How old? What's the age?
So my eldest is 23. Yes, I know. I don't look it.
No, you know why, don't you? Because you've been wearing face masks.
I'm not going to go down that one again. And my youngest is 10. So my eldest is a girl, my daughter Amy, my youngest Lily is 10, and it's all boys in between. So trying to get everybody around there in one go, I didn't want to overwhelm Tash with.
I was going to say, that's a big thing, right? There's a lot of kids.
This is the baggage I'm coming with. Come and look at this.
Deal with it.
It was a couple of kids at a time. I think I took Lily and Jacob around initially. I kind of wanted to get the younger ones around there, see how they dealt with it, and then moving forward, everybody came around in their own time. And I think one of the biggest times for me was Christmas Day, having all the kids there, and I took a step back and I just looked at it all and thought, this is right. Tash gets on with them so well, Marley gets on with them so well. It just works. But going back to your question, moving on with your life, moving on with relationships and moving kids in, it was like ripping a plaster off. You just had to do it, see how it worked. And if it didn't work, you work around that. You find...
Scary though, right?
100% scary. I mean, it was scary for me. It was terrifying for me. Imagine what it was like for the kids.
Yeah.
I know that Marley was absolutely terrified.
Because it was just him.
It was only ever been him. And I always had this fear that he'd think, Andy's now moving in with all his kids.
I don't have my mum anymore.
And I don't have my mum anymore. And he's taken over. Like, they're taking over the house. Like, I now have to say, which they do. Like, people will say it. Marley's got his own bedroom. It's still his own space. But from the outside looking in, it's like, well, you've just brought all this crowd of people into this child's life.
At what age?
18 months ago.
Yeah, so how old was
Marley?
Marley?
Marley would have been 12, just to...
See, I knew,
It was
because
late.
I knew the two of them.
Yeah.
I didn't see Marley after
just before 12, actually. So it was...
It was a young age to
It was
to
big
deal
for
with
him. It was big for him. It was really big for him. But I don't think he'd look back now.
Has he... What's your relationship with him now like?
Brilliant.
Yeah, good.
Brilliant, yeah.
Has he opened up at any stage yet?
Yeah.
Still early doors?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, we have a chat. We talk about all sorts of different things. So, I mean, he tends to come to me for advice over his mum, over certain things. But I think that's just a boy thing and kind of having a man around the house. I think that's a big thing for him. But it just flows. We have got a strong relationship. Obviously, 12 is a pretty young age. I think it only just turned 12 as well. It's a lot to deal with for anybody, really. But for a 12-year-old that's being bombarded with a horde of other children that's coming into not just his home, but to his life, it was a heck of a lot to deal with. But like I said, he's dealt with it really well. I couldn't be any more proud of him than I am.
Well, that's good. That's really nice to hear. I was talking to a friend, and they're in the blended family, and he quoted something off the internet, which I just got up, just having a look there. So it can take at least 2 years for a blended family to adjust and establish itself. But it can take up to 5 years. Denture. But it can take up to 5 years for the transition to really take effect. So the fact that you're only sort of that early on, so it's the same for you. But yeah, so it takes such a long time. I guess your relationship needs to be strong, so that you have to then work on. You think that it's the outside noise.
Yeah.
Thinking about that quote, I'm thinking that you need to be solid with your partner.
Yeah.
And if you can get that, then the kids will follow suit.
Exactly that. It's set an example, isn't it? It's set an example.
It's all the normal stuff.
It's the kids seeing that, do you know what? Like I said earlier about Christmas Day, my first Christmas Day without waking up with the kids on Christmas morning. So when they came in the afternoon, I thought I was making it extra special, but it was just the same as they've always seen. But it's just in a different house. And it was brilliant. It was brilliant. But you've got to have that strong relationship. You've got to have strong character to know things have changed for them.
Yeah.
But they've also changed for me
course.
and for Tash.
Yeah.
You've got to look after number one as well.
Keep talking so that they know that. They don't know what's going on in your head.
Yeah.
Nobody does. We wouldn't have this show.
No.
Excuse me.
Excuse me.
Excuse me. We wouldn't have this show without that. So get it out there. Talk. We're going to say it every single episode. Be open. Don't worry about what people are potentially sort of thinking and how they might approach a different way. We all have completely different values in life. We all have different morals. We all try and stay on that line, don't we? But it's not, life isn't linear. Life is not, you're going to, even in the blended families, and you'll still get this. You will still get this, and it'll be up and down. You'll still get the same problems with your mental health within the RAF. But we just got to put these things in place. And the thing that I've gotten from both of you there talking is the effort, the conscious, seeded. It has to really be in there. You don't half-arse it. Sorry, don't half-arse it. You've got to get in there, and you've got to think, right, how can I make this better? For me, for my new siblings, for my current, it might be a case where you go into the family with your actual sort of blood brother or sister, and they're a lot younger. They won't be looking at mum or dad. They'll be looking at older brother or older sister. As the dad, or the mum, depending on which side, you have to then encourage that from each part. Now, this is really easy for me to say. So apologies if anyone's watching and think, well, Paul, you're not in a blended family. I've touched on it a little bit, and I've seen it, and I've spoke to you a lot about it. Effort.
From always.
Put the effort in.
Put the effort in from always.
Put the effort in. And be open to other people's ideas and thoughts of different ways of life. Just because you 100% believe that you're right, so do they.
Yeah.
But how do we both work together then, if you both believe that?
Talk.
Communication.
Communicate.
There you go.
Yeah, I did have one more thing for you. So how would you feel if your kids didn't get along with the other side's kids, or if your kids didn't get along with their step parent? What
So
kind of action?
How would I feel if my children didn't get along with my partner, or
Yes.
didn't get along with her
It's
son?
kind of two questions, that, isn't it?
Yeah, and what kind of action would you take against, to kind of try and work that?
It's mitigation. I think with my children and my partner's son, you can't force a relationship, you can't force a friendship, and you can't force people to like each other. But what you can do is try and encourage from both sides of things, and try and make it work. Try and make it work from both sides. It might not happen. It might not. That there is that eventuality that might not happen. But you've got to put the effort in, and try to explain to all parties, this is where we are, me and your now stepmom, we're in this for the long haul. So you need to see us going on with the future, and we want you to be a part of it and be happy. As far as the stepmom side of things, that's a difficult one. It's again a difficult one, because not only would I be trying to encourage, try and move on with this, try and help each other, but I'm then obviously having to try and comfort my partner, who would clearly be just devastated by the fact that, hang on, this child doesn't like me. So you've got that side of things, but you're always trying to encourage, and make it work. I'm quite fortunate that wasn't the case. There will be people out there that has been the case. I would genuinely love to hear if that has been the case for you guys, if that has been a case where something hasn't worked, where your child doesn't like your new partner, or God forbid your partner doesn't like your child. It would be nice to hear from you guys.
That happens, right?
It does happen. Of course it happens, yeah. But I'd love to hear your side of things and how you've dealt with it.
Well, on that note, like we said at the start of the show, we sent 4 questions out there for on the Facebook and on the channel and things like that that we've come up with about blended families, and we asked if you would do either a little audio, a little video, even a text message, and we were going to have a little look at those. I'll put them up, you'll see them, and then we'll have a little bit of chat about their points of view, and we'll see that. So we were going to wait until the very end of the show to reveal who this is, and some of you might have guessed already. But that last little sort of part of the show went really well, and I was really interested to hear both sides of the coin. There was a reason for that, wasn't there, Andy?
There was. It's right. So we've just had a discussion regarding the conversation that we've just had, the questions you asked me, the questions I was asking you. For me, the key thing was you was looking me in the eyes. You was asking me the questions. I was answering the questions. I wasn't answering the questions as your co-host. I was answering the questions as your dad, and you was answering the questions as my son. So for me, it was massive. It was almost like we spoke about many things in the past regarding this.
It was great to watch.
It was good
knowing
to just, you're almost getting it off your chest, if that makes sense. It was questions that when you was asking me the questions was, I've got my opportunity to ask this now.
Did that feel like the first time you've heard him say some of that stuff, or in a direct way, like
in
that?
one go? Yeah. In one go, where it was directed at me.
You just had a moment.
What would you have done if this had happened? And so some of my answers were like, because I was very much like, because I wasn't just talking to our guest, I was talking to my son. So yeah, there we go with that one.
It felt good to open up. I mean, especially like, obviously knowing that you're my dad, obviously, it felt good to talk about it instead of, obviously, like you said, we've spoken about little bits at a time before, but it's good to kind of talk about it all at once. And it did feel like I got something off my chest, and I reckon it felt like you got something off your chest as well.
Yeah, it was good. Love you, mate.
I love you too. Love you too.
Oh,
cute.
Hang on a minute. So just so we can, this is so not how we had planned. Tash, come here.
Hey, old mate. Come on
This
in.
is Tash. We've spoke about Tash a few times. Come and get in on the camera, then, Tash. Come on, come sit on Andy's knee.
Does she want the? Oh, she's got that microphone.
Yeah.
Hi,
This
baby.
is
I love you.
the evil stepmom.
The evil stepmom.
My son is still here. Come, you're not part of this, by the way. Come on. We talk about the big blended family, don't we? You got bloody pajamas on and all sorts. So we're missing. Well, so we were talking about blended families. Do you know what a blended family is, babe? We can tell them. You don't want to speak to me. Bless you. This here is a blended family, and it was really nice listening to that. Like, I was super excited about the RAF stuff, but then we had a moment.
Quite emotional.
And it was really, really good. Yeah, we all got emotional.
Yeah.
I mean,
Totes
we didn't cry.
emotion.
No, we can't cry.
Man up.
Break the stigma, people.
Let's all put a face mask on. No, but that was absolutely brilliant. Thank you for that, Liam. We're going to get into the next bit, but I just wanted to say, look, this is Tash. This is the evil stepmother that we were just talking about.
Evil.
Far from it.
She's
Far
horrible.
from it. We'll try and get these guys on as a bit of a group sort of therapy session, which would be pretty cool, and we'll get the whole family involved. But like we said, look, blended families don't just have to be the immediate family. This here is just as much as a blended family as any other blended family. Just
the most.
we are. A friend of mine, when he was mentioned, just quickly, his is huge, and I said, "Do you want to do the video?" And he says, "Mate, my family's a zoo."
Yeah.
We're a tribe and they're a zoo.
We're a tribe, they're a zoo.
We're a tribe, they're a zoo. But yeah, just before we went on to the next bit, I thought that it was important that we told you who this guy was. So now that you know, you can watch the rest. But that was really good. I really enjoyed that. Yeah, quick swoosh, quick break, and then we'll get back to you. All right, everyone. That's the end of part one. It wasn't quite the quick swoosh that we just said on the video there. We didn't get much of a chance to get everything that we wanted into that one video, so we've done it over a part 1 and a part 2. Part 2 is here that you can click. In that video, we've got our friends who have done a video and a couple of text messages just describing and explaining their family dynamic within the blended family. Some great stuff for you to take away. Don't forget to smash that subscription and give us a like and go ahead and enjoy that video.